So if you've never heard of this, I just heard about this today and I haven't even tried it. It's this app, Dooplicator. What they started, 21? 21 or 22, they started sending all BRP products with just one key. Their electronic key anyway. I don't know why you can't get two. I guess chips or something. I don't know. But so this is supposed to allow you to scan the key, tap and hold key logo to top of your iPhone. Let's see. Hold this. So logo, extracting data, hold key and wait. Please enter your email address.
All about your social security number.
We'll do info at discoverpowersports.com. Will it send it? Because Verizon sucks, as you can tell right here. Yes. No, it's not going to send it. I don't know what it's going to do from here, but it's going to do something. I guess we'll update you. So you can actually order a key from them. It's $55. So it looks like from this, snowmobile, of course, side-by-sides, ATVs, and personal watercraft. So Ski-Doo, Sea-Doo, and Can-Am, you should be able to get an extra key. And from what else I read about it, it actually saves the profile. So if you lose all your keys, you can actually just order another key from them. It'll take a week or whatever it takes to get it, but that's kind of cool. Just
super convenient.
Something to have in the back of your pocket, because if you need another key and you got to take this thing you have to take this to the dealer to get another key, which is really kind of crazy, but I guess that's what they do. So that's just something. If you don't know about it, now you know about it. Now I know about it. But we're going to be getting this ready to go. So we leave next week to go to Utah. We're going to the sand dunes, go to the mountains and play around. But really, this one just needs an engine oil change, and I'm going to grease the suspension. The diff should be fine. I really want the engine oil done before we go to the dunes, because it takes a punishment. Because you'll see engine temps 230,
230.
Pretty easy.
Consistent, yeah. I mean, short rips when you're going up, but we're also using the viscosity to pull up the heat a little bit better. So I said you'll notice that difference when we dump these in there. What are we on, 550?
Yeah, so we're going to run the Amsoil 550. So something that's going to stay thicker at a higher temp. Especially just keep the turbo and everything happy. But they're pretty easy to change. The oil filter housing is actually right here. Right there. It's just those 3 bolts. And down here is where the drain bolts are. There's 2. A bigger one, a smaller one. I can't remember the size, but I'll mention it in a minute. One of them actually drains out the oil filter location. So it's actually pretty nifty, and it keeps from making too much of a mess. Well, at least there's that, but they do make you make a mess, because all that stuff just drains right here into the skid plate, and there's no real good way to get it to go down this hole unless you get something else. And so we've got something else. We haven't even used it yet. It's from a place called Raptor Off-Road. It's $25. Ordered it just to try it. Don't have one. Haven't had anything like it. Tried using funnels and all that, and it just doesn't work. So this is actually a 3D printed part we're going to try out. So we'll see how it works.
Got shoved in there.
Yeah.
Maybe easier to do now.
Yeah,
for sure. It might be a little bit pulled off. So there's a couple different versions of these. Some people 3D print these. Hard plastic. Some of them make them ABS. I've seen some foam versions, collapsible versions. So a little tricky to get in there, but well worth it. You don't fill up your skid plate all the way back to here and all the way up front with oil and leak residual oil and make you think you've got a leak or a bolt not tight.
Yeah, so it actually...
And it goes right in, you can see below, through the cutout in the skid plate, and you can have a reservoir below that, dump that stuff right straight into it, so really perfect.
Yeah.
I dig it. Also different from the Kawasaki when he's talking about draining that second bolt for that reservoir for the oil filter using BRP life, so you've got a cartridge style filter that once he gets those two drained out, we'll swap this guy in. This cat right up here, those 3 bolts, pull those guys out, slide the old one out. You'll make a little bit of a mess, but filters hold up pretty well, fully enclosed. They do the job. Got some dinosaur blood coming out of this sucker. Got a little age on it, but I don't think it's so bad of a 10. Looking at it in the light.
Don't look too bad. I mean, it's a little dark. It's only got 700 miles on it.
So, what size was that big plug?
It's a 17, and I haven't pulled the small one yet.
So, smaller secondary one next to it, then yank that guy out to drain the reservoir. Break her loose with your hand in there and pull her out. See how much oil we get out of the reservoir. Crush washer filament here, so we got red. So that's going to be draining the cartridge and a little bit of the upper end of the motor right over here.
Yeah, we've got a dry sump system, so they kind of hold oil to make sure that it can pick up oil and send it through the engine, no matter if you're turning hard or on a steep incline or on sideways or something like that. That way you can always be feeding the engine some oil.
Awesome. Get in here, maybe. Bryce is also saying that these guys are also Torx as well. So if you're not sure, you can do either or. Obviously a little sketchy here with the cat and the turbo being there, so you definitely got a lot of residual heat here, so you probably want to be a little careful. We got our bolts out, so wiggle this cap a little bit. Put this guy down here. Definitely recommend, because the filter seats kind of into this cap, as you can see. It's going to come with it. I'm also going to grab another rag here because of the heat. Pull it out, kind of tilt it, let the residual kind of drain into the housing. See? And I'm going to flip it, pull that guy out. So you can see this has an O-ring surface. So you see a little bit of dirt in there. You're definitely going to want to clean it up, inspect your O-ring. This guy obviously been doing its job. Again, it kind of seats into the housing cover. We actually need to kind of pull this guy out. You can see your bottom side is obviously going to be your open end. Your cap is what's going to face towards the top of the cap. So definitely want to make sure you get these in there the right way. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that's put this in the wrong way, doing it on their own, and has royally screwed your engine up. So all in all, not too bad. I'm going to get this guy yanked out, clean this up, inspect the surfaces here on our housing, inspect the lip. Obviously you're going to get a little bit of residual dirt from when we did this last time, so I want to make sure I get that cleaned up and nothing makes its way down into this housing. You can see a pretty good amount of volume comes through that sucker. So definitely imperative you get this right and get it tight and get that O-ring on there. So another little tip when you're messing with these, we go back with OEM filters, of course. The top of this head here of the filter, as you can see, it's actually stuck in here. So when you peel these out, they wedge in here and they kind of get stuck in there. So you may pull the filter out and leave this guy in there. You definitely want to take that guy out because you've got a whole pocket and that is not going to seat right and this is not going to get tight. So you want to get in there, and as you can see, there's those little barbs in the corners that kind of pinch it down in there. So we'll pry this guy out and then seat the new filter in there. Alright, got our filter in there, seated all the way down. Moved up a little bit. Condition our O-ring a little bit as well. So let's slap this guy back in here. Turn the light on here so you can see what we're doing. Alright. Set that guy down in there. Cool thing about this is, you know, it's not specific. These line up no matter where you put them. But obviously you want to make sure you get a good seat. That these are flush. You kind of feel around, obviously look at your edges and make sure they all match and are fully seated. Because obviously you can't see this backside, but as long as you can kind of feel that lip right in between there, that's perfect. We're going to slap our screws back in here. So we're talking about when they're hex, but also a bolt. So we can pull those guys out a couple different ways. So we're going to thread these guys back in, get them started by hand, because obviously you don't have a ton of room to do this. So you kind of want to get them tight as possible, but leave a little bit of distance off so you can get them all kind of seated right, evenly torqued, evenly spaced. Get that O-ring seated and we'll be good. Alright, we're good to go. All tight, got them snug. Now we're going to get the drain plugs back in below, clean up underneath the surface down here. See our filter and everything. Cable out of the way. Get that cleaned up down there, get those plugs back in, and then we'll do the fun part of dumping the oil through the wrap up here to get the sucker filled up. So, as you can see, here is our oil fill. And there's nothing but bed up here. So, I also make contraptions to get this done easier as well. But we've got a funnel, we just stick it through there and aim as well as we can. So, yeah, the drain plug's got a magnet, so you definitely want to inspect that for anything crazy.
No, there's nothing in there worth talking about, really.
Just clean it off. Angle this thing right here.
Not perfect, but it's better than nothing, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely better than filling up the whole daggone skid plate.
Yeah.
And leaking out for weeks.
Yeah, literally.
So that back on there. Now we can move to the top side. Dipstick pulled out. Literally tall enough, just tall enough to hit the bed to where you get a terrible reading on it. So you can see. Stick a funnel down up in there and align another funnel through the bed hole and dump this stuff in. So we're going to do that next. So you can kind of align it through the bed, funnel and funnel.
Throw 3.5 quarts in there, we'll run it.
Like I said, a little custom, but definitely want to keep them aligned. So alright, we're going to start our port. Alright, so we got our Amsoil 5W50 slapped in here. We're gonna get our dipstick back in there, double check our level, bust her off, let it circulate through the motor, shut her off, double check it one more time, top it off as needed, and we'll be good to go on the service for this guy. Alright, busted it off, getting her warmed up. Rod started through a rod when all these wrenches fell off, so it's pretty funny. Very shocking. Get a heat cycle in her, we'll double check that level. What you got going on there, bud?
Trying to get to my carrier. Well, actually, that front U-joint.
Right here. Going right there, man.
There's Zerk fitting in there. Carrier seems good, yeah. So, I guess run down all the grease fittings. There's one in that U-joint, which I've actually never done. Didn't know it was there until just recently. There is four on each side on the front, 2 on your upper control arm points, or 1 on each point, and then 1 on each point of the lower control arm. Also on the rear, the only ones I know of are actually on the sway bar. So there's not any, up here at the trailing arm or anything like that. A shock, so none on the radius rods. So I did want to check. Let's see that in a second. There's a U-joint right there. You can see it. It's the prop shaft coming right out of the engine, or transmission, I mean, going up front. It does not look like it's got one. So that's all the ones we know of, and we're going to throw some grease in them, and that'll be it. This thing will be ready to go. Also, one more thing to plug on the greasing. If you don't have one of these that goes on the end, it's called lock and lube. You can just find it on like Amazon or whatever. This thing locks onto the Zerk fitting, and you can really put some pressure through it. It's so much nicer. You just clamp it on there. I mean, it stays on there strong. You're not going to mess it up. That way nothing's leaking or anything like that. It makes it cleaner. So, just a tip. Alright, so we're going to reset the maintenance light on this thing. So, sport mode, performance key, and then it's going to say maintenance required. And you can see right here, it's got the little wrench, the little maintenance light. That means change your oil, moron. So, these Can-Ams, this is a 2020 XRS RR, so you can scroll through with the button, engine temp, settings, reset maintenance, hold it. It's gonna beep, exit, the little wrench went away, pull the key, done. That's true. Alright, so that's gonna wrap up this video. On the next one, we're gonna show getting Stevens ready, but we're only gonna show the diffs. We're gonna do an oil change, we just won't show that since we're showing it on mine. But diffs, he's going to put in a polycarbonate rear window that'll fit in here. And then he's going to rivet the pieces in that are needed for the link rack. So get that. Look at the head on that thing. What were we saying? So we're going to grease the wheel bearings. Oh, so we're going to finish up the link rack on this one. And then the window, like I said, wheel bearings, front and rear discs, and we're going to do an oil change. We just won't show you. Other than that, it'll be ready to go for our trip out west. Yeah, just got to get her cleaned up a little bit. The engine's the same as what's in the 2020, so don't want to bore you with that. Everything else is high and tight. The wiring is all done. All the accessories are on. All our lighting's on. Both units. I got to put one switch in Bryce's. I've got that switch. And other than that, we'll be good to go. We'll be based out of American Fork, Utah while we're there. We're going to hit a few different places. Obviously, the true little Sahara. And hang out there. But again, appreciate everybody checking out the channel, watching the videos, like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit up our websites, both for the Power Sports division and the Off-Road division. Any questions, anything else you want to see, any feedback, holler at us, leave a comment.
Appreciate you.